Because we make a mistake and think this is a time management program. I have bought every single time management program there is out there with all, it used to be when I was in sales, it was the planners with the different tabs and 14 different colored pencils and things, and it took you a day to plan because you had to write everything out and erase, and it was difficult. So we think it's a time management problem. It is not a time management problem. This is not a time management problem. Mediocre people think more time is the solution to every problem. Mediocre people think that way. Bill Gates doesn't have more time. Sergey Brin and the founders, Larry Page, they don't have more time. Look what they were able to create. They have the same amount of time as you and I have. It's not a time management problem. The biggest reason you're not getting the results you want, it's lack of sufficient motivation. That's it. Napoleon Hill, one of the first things in the book, Think and Grow Rich, he said all highly successful, wealthy people had is the burning desire principle. That was the number one thing. That's chapter 1 in Think and Grow Rich. If you don't have a burning desire to get the outcomes in your life, to have the kind of money you want in your life, the kind of body you want in your life, the kind of relationships you want in your life, the time to do the things you want to do, it's because that there is no burning desire. You don't have that burning desire. Unless you do have it and you're on your way to getting it. Like you're making progress, you just haven't gotten there yet. But really what we're talking about is a lack of motivation. And Joe, you're going to hear Joe Polish speak later today, and you're going to love Joe. You are going to love Joe. He's amazing. And Joe spent a lot of time with Gary Halbert, who was one of the world's best copywriters. And Gary did some sort of, I don't know it as well. Maybe Joe can tell the story, and he can tell it better than I did because he knows it firsthand. But when Gary was coaching his clients on how do you do direct marketing, say like direct mail, he said, the reason that you're getting crappy results in your marketing is lack of motivation. So I think, and I'm telling the story secondhand, so forgive me, but he would say, you got a kid. Does anyone in here have children? Fred, you do, right? You like them? You love them, of course. So that's kind of a leading question we knew the answer to. So now let's suppose someone kidnaps your kid. Now this is Gary, his analogy. And they say to him, you've got to do a direct mail campaign that works, that gets a result, or the kid loses a finger. And every time you try and you fail, they lose another finger until they run out of fingers and you run out of options. All right. That being the motivation, would you use bulk mail? Would you, he's like, I'd hand deliver it. Right. Motivation. It's now the motivation has gone up and the skills automatically follow. And in life, I think the problem is we're like this low-grade fever is that we get to a point where we're dissatisfied with where we are in life, financially and in our business, but we're not dissatisfied enough to do anything. If you remember back to my opening presentation, one of the things I talked about is people come to me under two circumstances, inspiration and desperation. And both places actually are good, meaning inspiration's better, pull is better. If you're here because you're good and you want to be great, or if you're great, you want to be outstanding, that's the kind of people that are going to get amazing results. But desperation is a very powerful motivator too. And that's when we don't get our shoulds done, they suddenly become musts because life hands it to us, because we didn't have it handled in advance. And that is powerful motivation, but here's the danger. What happens is, and I see this happening in marketing, I see this happening with clients, is that the motivation, the pain is there, and so it drives them to do something, and they start doing all this marketing, and they get these great results, and then guess what happens? They stop, not fail, they stop marketing. Why? The pressure's off. I can pay my bills now. All right, the motivation went away, right? So the key is really how do you get yourself to keep that pot simmering to go from desperation to inspiration? And the way you do that is you simply have to raise your standards. You've got to say that, making $60,000 a year or $70,000 a year or whatever it is just unacceptable. You've got to say that 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 5 pounds overweight is unacceptable. It's just direly unacceptable. And when you can get yourself to that place, that's when you'll move. That's when you'll figure it out. And you don't need a fancy planner. You don't need the best trainer in the world. I mean, those things help. And you want to have the right strategies. You don't want to just go running around like crazy and, trying a whole bunch of different things. You want to be smart about it. But when it comes right down to it, if you wanted to lose weight, you don't need a fancy diet. You don't need a special exercise machine. You don't need to wear special clothing. You need Lou Ferrigno to stand behind you and go, run! Maybe Dan the F-bomb with a hammer in his hand. You'll move, right? That's what it's motivation. So a lot of people come here looking for tactics. What's the tactic? What's the thing? What's the trick? That's the easy button. And that's why they never find it, because I gave you all the tactics. I cannot give you the motivation. All motivation is self-motivation. You, in the morning, have to get yourself up at 5 a.m. And that's when it matters, because nobody's looking.